I'm Roger Baker, Executive Director of the Stratfor Center for Applied Geopolitics at RANE, a global center of excellence for geopolitical intelligence and analysis. Learn how you can put geopolitics to work for your organization at ranenetwork.com.
Hello and welcome to RANE's Essential Geopolitics podcast. In recent weeks, China has launched a series of initiatives that alter the status quo in the Taiwan Strait. First, China altered a civilian flight path to come mere kilometers next to the median line, the de facto dividing line between the entities, and added 2 more flights along a similar trajectory. Second, China's Coast Guard announced it will make full use of its legal jurisdiction around the Taiwanese islands of Kinmen. These developments carry implications for both Taiwan's airspace and territorial waters. Here to explain the implications of these initiatives is Nate Fischler, RANE's Asia-Pacific analyst. Hi, Nate.
Hi, Emma. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Can you provide a little more detail on what exactly these Chinese initiatives are?
Sure. Well, we can start with February 1st. There's a series of events here, so I'll try to discuss them chronologically. Starting on February 1st, China unilaterally altered the flight path of a civilian flight M503, or that flight route anyway, to come mere kilometers toward the median line, the de facto, as you mentioned, the de facto dividing line between China and Taiwan. They did this without consulting Taiwan, and it irritated the authorities in Taipei. Moving on then, on February 15th, there was an incident in the water where 2 Chinese fishermen drown off of the Kinmen Islands of Taiwan when they tried to flee the Taiwanese Coast Guard, who attempted to apprehend them for illegally fishing in their waters. This was followed then on February 17th with an announcement from China's Coast Guard that in response to that incident, they will make full use of their legal jurisdiction over the Kinmen Islands. So, of course, this needs to be reiterated from time to time that China claims all Taiwanese territories as its de jure territory. So by their legal code, by their system, any enforcement or jurisdictional action around Kinmen or anywhere in Taiwan is perfectly within the legal rights of China. To them, it's not as if this is a foreign country. This is their own country according to them. So that means that the Chinese Coast Guard will be far more active around Kinmen, undertaking basically normal Coast Guard duties as if it were normally their territory. Thirdly, then, we had China making use of this jurisdictional power to board a Taiwanese tourist vessel that was bound for Kinmen. This didn't really harm anybody, but it created a panic because this kind of boarding is unprecedented. The Chinese Coast Guard does not do this sort of thing. So we can see that, I don't know if it's unprecedented, but it's extremely rare. So we can see that happening more frequently going forward. And then on February 28th, China added 2 more flights along that M503 line that hug the Taiwan Strait median line. So they're adding to these flights. They're doing more both by air and by sea around Taiwanese airspace and territorial waters. So yeah, that's happened all within the span of a few weeks.
Could you provide some insight about what this could mean for Taiwan's security going forward?
Yeah, sure. So what this does is in both domains, both at sea and in the air, it stretches Taiwanese resources. So by the flights, what they do is they force Taiwan to monitor and identify civilian aircraft, which, given the frequent military incursions by Chinese fighter jets, this costs additional resources in order to identify these flights, because they have to distinguish them between military and civilian jets. And both now are going to occur with more frequency around the median line. So this costs Taiwan resources, it stretches its airspace, It makes them less flexible in their ability to respond. It also opens up for Chinese military planes a flight path that might be a little more strategically viable, say for a hypothetical invasion scenario. And then in the waters around Kinmen, it creates, it creates the possibility or increases the likelihood of accidents, incidents, hostile action, things that could really escalate tensions between China and Taiwan, which of course, those two entities are at perpetually high tensions. And this risk, I guess that's the case at both air and sea. It increases the risk of accidents, and at sea especially, it increases the risk of confrontations between the two coast guards and potentially between navies. So from a security perspective, it's not good, to put it in simple terms, for Taiwan. It squeezes them both by air and by sea. They're going to have to commit more resources to these Chinese activities in both domains. It's not like a death knell or anything like that. It doesn't change the outlook super radically, but it does sort of put the countries on a path where sometimes it's referred to as salami slicing, where China takes little bits of territory, sort of changes the facts on the ground by planting, in this case, boats or planes. But what it does is it transfers little bits of territory to Chinese effective control, and those little bits of territory might get expanded over the coming years as China really looks to tighten its own security apparatus around Taiwan and limit Taiwan's ability to defend itself.
I know you mentioned that this won't change things a whole lot, but does the salami slicing eventually lead to a point where everything's going to come to a head? I guess how much further can both keep pushing until there is maybe a change in the overall trajectory of things?
Right. Well, we have a sort of intractable problem that's really been ongoing since 2016, when the DPP in Taiwan was elected. William Lai, the DPP candidate, was elected in January, and he'll be the new Taiwanese president. And China, Beijing considers him even more of a radical extremist, separatist type than his predecessor, Tsai Ing-wen. So China, as long as the DPP is ruling Taiwan, there will be more of these sort of coercive actions, more movement, military movement, Coast Guard movement, rather than dialogue. So the trajectory is not super optimistic. Partially because of the DPP's continuing stay atop the Taiwanese government, and China's refusal to talk to them. So what's going to happen most likely is tensions will deepen. Taiwan, both China and Taiwan will look to manage this slightly altered status quo to really try to prevent incidents that could really escalate things. A plane crash, Coast Guard vessels shooting at each other, that sort of thing. So it will increase tensions in the short term, depending on if there are more incidents like what happened on February 15th, where there were two Chinese fishermen drowned. The more incidents there are like that, the more tensions will spike. Of course, accidents and incidents like that have a tendency to create tension or irritate tension between countries. So, with the DPP in power in Taiwan going to be staying in power, the trajectory is likely more of the same, more sort of salami slicing from China, and then Taiwan doing its best to manage and mitigate that reality.
Well, thanks for the update and the insights, Nate. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about it as it develops, as is true with all of our analyses. But thank you.
Thank you, Emma.
You can read more of Nate's analyses by subscribing to one of RANE's risk intelligence products. Our suite of products and solutions allow clients to access the insights and analyses they need to make more informed decisions. You can sign up or learn more at our website, ranenetwork.com. That's RANE network.com. I'm Emma Kami. Thanks for listening.